Hello there, guys. Robert here. I recently got top 32 at YCS Montreal playing 60 card ROLAD combo. And since Steve is mostly retired and starved for content, he's begged me for a deck profile. So make sure to like and subscribe so that he can make $5 off this and maybe afford some chaotic packs or whatever it is he does now. I just wanted to start off by shouting out the people I tested and traded with this time around. Mainly Sebastian Morales, Matthew Brisden, Nicholas McLaurin, Rohan Zahid, Nigel Lamb, Stephen Santoli, and everybody else in our 15 server. Also, big shout out to Anthony Zhu. As far as I know, he's the one to really popularize this build of the deck. I know I was having a lot of trouble settling on a list. I had anywhere from 40 to 60 cards put together at some point with different engine amalgamations put together, and I just could not settle on what to play. But I listened to his deck profile and explanation, and it really kind of made things click in the 11th hour. So definitely check out his video about the deck as well. Maybe Steve can link it below when he uploads this. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Do that, Steve. Anyway, on to deck profile. I'll show everything, then explain stuff afterwards that I think is different from what people are doing. So, the ROLAD rituals, Mitsu rituals, 3 witches, 3 griffos, 1 black chaos, 1 fleeting phantom maskmaster, 1 magician souls, 1 mirror that's in my lap for some reason, 2 aramasa, 1 saji, 1 kusanagi, 2 skull archfiend, 3 witch, 1 griffin rider, and 1 illegal knight, deception, Elite Dark's ritual spell, hallowed, 3 wanted, 3 ragged, 3 nightmare hands, 3 prayers, right, Mitsu ritual, foolish, fateful, called by, mind shuffle, 6 chummies, 3 ash, 2 droll, 2 pot of sloth to round out the main deck. For the extra deck, it is the 3 fusions, the double Azamina ones, and the Demok, Selene, Anima, Crush Sheep, Dark, Zena, Protect Code, SP, Repro, Firewall, Solantis, Charmer, Quartet, and Singularity, which I'll get to later. And the side deck was 3 Lava Golem, 3 Nibiru's, 3 Evenly, 2 Spark, a Bell, the 3rd Sloth, the Mitsu Trap, and a Talons. Obviously, so we'll start with the main deck. Obviously, very similar to what Anthony was doing. The 4 engines, Diavel, ROLAD, Mitsu, Adventure. I guess the 5th as well if you count the Enamor Hands as their own thing, but they're kind of just starters for the other engines. The big change that I was doing was the inclusion of illegal knights. The reason this is here is simply because it's a big dark monster that you can get for free alongside other bodies, which means you can summon it under a Reprodocus and do very fun things. Because of that, it means Enchantress or Right plus any normal summon is able to then pivot into Demok into the full board. This inclusion really felt like it took the adventure cards to the next level, because rather than just being insulation for your initial pushes or an end board cap, they instead became true starters and extenders, which was massive. And I felt like that was a bigger deal in my deck, because what my group and I were doing I think our end board was a little stronger than other people's, so having that push for a stronger end board made a bit more sense than just summoning a Griffin Rider and sitting on it. And that payoff is Firewall Dragon Singularity. So if you're like most people, you've never seen this card, so we'll go over it. Singularity is a Link 6. Link 6 that requires 3+ effect monsters, and it has this effect. Quick effect. You can target cards your opponent controls or in their graveyard. That's cards they control and field or graveyard. Cards and field or graveyard. Up the number of different card types, Ritual, Fusion, Synchro, Exceed, you control, and in your graveyard. Return them to the hand. Also, this card permanently gains 500 attack for each returned card. And if a monster this card points to is destroyed by battle, or sent to the graveyard, you can target one Cyberse monster in your graveyard and special summon it. You only use each effect once per turn. So right off the bat, it's easy to see why this card hasn't seen much play. Unless you're playing some combination of different summoning mechanics, while also being able to turn out Link 6s, the payoff isn't there. And I can't think of any other deck that's really done that up to this point. But here we have a deck that spams rituals and fusions. and ends on them, uses them as link fodder. So you always have those two subtypes in rotation, which means you're always going to have this as a bounce 2, which means it is just a worthwhile interruption to end on. Now, if it was just a bounce 2, it probably still wouldn't be worth the investment of a link 6, but the second effect is also massive, because it's not just if your opponent removes it, it's if it just goes to the graveyard in any way, which is important because you end on Singularity, but you also end on Ilia Sylvia. So you end on Sylvia under Singularity, and then when you use Sylvia's effect to negate something, tribute itself, goes to the graveyard, new chain, Singularity triggers, revives the Cybers from your graveyard, which is of course the Firewall Dragon. And you summon that under the Singularity. Very often you have a Charmer Quartet, and maybe even an SP here as well. So the Firewall is an additional bounce 3 or always a bounce 2. So the Singularity isn't just a bounce 2 by itself, but overall represents anywhere from 2 to 5 bounces. That sounds like a lot of trouble for just a couple of bounces, because ultimately that's what the Singularity is. It's just a bounce. But I felt like that's exactly what the deck needed in order to insulate the board from the matchup that's best into it, being the mirror match. I think ROLAD has caught some hate lately for being just another slop combo deck, but I do think that's pretty unfair, at least within the context of what's the current standard 60 card build. The boards that deck put up aren't exactly Mitsu Rise or Mitsu Yummy boards. They don't really end on a lot of negates. It's often Ilia Sylvia, SP, About Q, Mind Shuffle, and then the I don't know, prayers into the Mitsu stuff, which is a lot of interruptions, but it's all just field-based removal, and field-based removal isn't good in the mirror match because you're summoning big rituals that are unaffected. You're putting down a black chaos that's unaffected, and they all banish stuff and then clear stuff. So when we were testing, it really felt like what the deck was ending on just wasn't enough to stop the mirror match. So we spent a lot of time trying to find any kind of payoff because we had so many extra bodies to work with. I know we really tried to get Terahertz to work for a while because our group's been obsessed with that card since Steve won Indy with Race, and yeah, that just there's no efficient way to make it. Matt wanted to play the Link monster that Malice played. What is that? Allied Code Talker. But again, it wasn't just a clear way to get to it. We really wanted Heat Soul to work, but we would have had to play another random Cyberus monster to link into. And then eventually the deck we settled on 60 cards being the option, so just draws weren't as good, especially when half your non-engine was stuff like Chummies or Sloth, so it wasn't really good there. Uh, Ultimately, we figured out that most of your hands, in the middle of your combo, you'll get to the point of having Firewall Dragon and Protect Code, and having bounced access to either Black Chaos or Witch, which you then set up your secondary engine into and go from there. So you'll have like a Firewall, Protect Code, and an extra random body, and then what you can do is you can link 4 into Singularity, Singularity revive 2 random things, and then turn Firewall into Zelantis. And then Zelantis blinks at the board, which is massive because everything's resummoned off Zelantis, including the Charmer and the stuff summoned off Charmer, are now able to be used as material. So there just become free bodies you can now link with. And if you're able to count, that's 4, 5, 6 for Singularity. So it's very free to make because you don't even burn your Charmer Quartet. You just postpone it for the opponent's turn. Because the Singularity, or sorry, the Zelantis also resets Charmer. Charmer can just use this effect again in the opponent's turn. So you don't link it away, you leave it there, and then build the rest of your board around it. Usually like something like, I don't know, this with a Mind Shuffle and the prayers in the back, and then sometimes Demock on the field as well if you get to that point. Actually, it's usually over here. So it really felt like a payoff that was worth it. Notably because this card is able to hit any card from the graveyard, not just monsters, which means in the mirror match, when they get to the point of summoning Black Chaos, you're able to Singularity, hit the ritual spell, and then something else, or usually the Cliff Prayers and Requiem can actually clear this, which sounds like a lot of interruptions to burn, just clearing a Black Chaos, but it's worth it when you consider how impactful this card is and just how much it does into the board. And it's not like the board is bad into their popular matchups because, I mean, what are you going to complain about having 5 bounces against Cool Tune or Elf Note, where their whole issue going second is establishing bodies. No, of course not. That's just those are just high value interruptions in those matchups as well. So definitely very very happy with Singularity. I played what was it? I played 8 ROLAD mirrors in 13 rounds. Uh, Lost a good chunk of those die rolls, and even into the board. Singularity is fantastic because it's one of the few things you can access going into the ROLAD board that can actually clear the mind shuffle loop, which is cool because you just stop Singularity, bounce mind shuffle. They can't chain into Demok to protect it because you're not banishing, so it's gonna actually get rid of it. And then as in hand as well, which so it's harder for them to reset it back up if you get into a grind game. And the attack gain is permanent, so hard for them to out this. The attack gain is also very relevant against Chaos Angel because this deck doesn't have a Chaos Angel out. Your Chaos Angel out is summoning Singularity, like breaking their board. Usually, what happens is you break the board, pull out a Chaos Angel, you can't out it, but it's fine because you summon Singularity. It gets big, it gets to 4,500 immediately, so they can't attack over it, and then you just win the game by default because they're never able to reestablish a board into you, and you're never able to deck out because of Chaos Angel. So they can sit there and burn time if they want to, but the game is over. It's just a board state. It's a stalemate that you're eventually going to win. So hopefully they don't just double wash you and kill themselves. Um, Not the most elegant solution to Chaos Angel, but the fact that it was pseudo that as well felt nice because I know Matt really wanted to play an Underworld Goddess in here, and if we're playing this package, there just isn't really any flex spots in the extra deck. I guess maybe the dark, but that comes up a lot for me going seconds. I wouldn't really want to have that. I'm trying to look at what else I did differently from what Anthony was doing. I didn't play Draco back. That's something. Because I really didn't think it was needed. Illegal Knight made the adventure package very good going second anyways. So the Draco back really just felt like a free discard, which I didn't think was worth another one of Dead Brick. Typically, where I'm accessing the adventure is in the mid or late combo, and at that point, I have just free discards or advantage I've gained elsewhere. So if you just discard a random thing, who cares? It's fine. Also, the BLS I played. Anthony wasn't playing this, and I've seen it cut from some lists. I know Matt was side decking this. I like the BLS because it makes your chummy boards a lot better. People that don't know, if this deck gets chummied, you just do Mitsurugi combo instead. You Griffo into Mind Shuffle, into Skull, into Habakiri. Habakiri effect, they Fua you. Okay, no problem. I still need to draw getting off Fua. You just set it Mitsurugi stuff. But it's Mitsurugi stuff with a Mind Shuffle behind it. And having the BLS in deck to get off Mind Shuffle in that case, bounce a ritual, summon it out as interruption, felt like very high value to me. And I was chummied a lot, so I'm definitely glad I played that. Speaking of wanting the compass, I guess I'll talk about the whole quote unquote brick issue with the deck. Not that the deck bricks. The deck is ridiculously consistent for what it is. You play, I think it's 27 starters and 60, which is a higher ratio than the 40 card split. People have an issue with the number of one of junk in the deck. I know I said this deck to Steve, and he called me insane for submitting it. He goes, I think he said 1/3 of the deck was a Garnet, which is crazy coming from you, Steve. Because if anybody wants to see a good deck profile, look at Steven Santoli top 16 YCS Niagara 2022 for the most cursed sprite list your eyes will ever lay upon. But on paper, I think that the garnets in this deck are a lot more like the garnets in Branded than they are actual garnets, where they don't do stuff by themselves, but if your engine is rolling, you have to play them. You have to play them for the sake of your engine, but also once your engine gets rolling, the garnets become a lot better. Like Master is a terrible card. It's not good to have in your hand. It does nothing. But if you'll put it alongside a witch, well, now it's just a free body into a foolish, so it's 2 or 3 extra pushes if you open this card, which is fantastic. And the deck is consistent enough that you're always opening playable. So usually your hand is it's usually one or two starters plus some random nonsense. But the random nonsense become actual value extenders as long as you open them alongside real starters, which you should always do. The math just works out pretty well in that regard. I think in hindsight, the only thing I would change is maybe cutting the Griffin Rider. I know Sebastian is the other person. Sebastian and I played the same deck list almost card for card, and except he didn't play the Illegal Knight, he just played the Griffin. Uh, Obviously, Griffin is a better end board payoff. If I just open combo and I full combo, I want Griffin to be there. But in my mind, just having the versatility of not versatility is the right word, but just having the option, I don't know, having the option to go into a Legal Knight as an extender or as a starter is huge in my mind. And I think the value there is more important than the payoff of having just another Omni negate on your end board, especially when it's not like a bounce two with a bad interruption. It's just a bounce two versus negate. Obviously, negate's better, but the impact this card has elsewhere is massive. So if I wanted to slim down the bricks of the deck, the Griffin's probably the place I'd start. Also, maybe the Futsu. I know I saw a lot of lists not playing Futsu. Um, I'd have to try it more, but I didn't really feel like Futsu, sitting on Futsu selling bodies was a huge thing. I'm sorry. Just because the ROLAD decks playing into your Mitsurugi stuff, they kind of shear through it. So the Futsu reviving stuff felt a little inefficient. Maybe that's just because I played more mirror matches than you would typically play. But I might try that in the future, not playing that. What else? I think that's probably it with the main deck. Everything else is pretty standard if you've seen a ROLAD deck before. Um, I guess Nightmare Hands hasn't fully caught on yet. I think this card's maybe the best starter in the deck, just because it's full combo, but it's full combo plus a body on the field, which means you're able to. And just how this deck plays through hand traps is just having bodies because you have a real end board payoff in this with like monsters, so having bodies to link climb with is huge. But it's also just anything because you can Nightmare Hands for Skull into Rolad or Skull into Mitsu, or you can add like Ritual Monster and do stuff like that. But also just this card can dump Enchantress, which is pretty big as well. So if they start your, and that's why like Illegal Knight, so they start your early pushes elsewhere. Well, now you can Nightmare Hands into this, into Enchantress, into Legal Knight, get you into a dark, get you bodies, you get the token, and then this plus the token can be around Rapidocus, then the Illegal Knight's there to pick up the Spellcaster, and then you play that way. That comes up sometimes, so yeah, Nightmare Hands, very, very, very good. What else? The bell should have been a third spark. I just couldn't find one, so it was a bell. Okay. I think I rambled enough for Steve to make I'd rather know off this. So if you have any questions, then comment, and I don't know, maybe I'll answer, but I probably won't. Make sure to check out Anthony's video, and if you got a duck for me this weekend, shout out to you. You're awesome. That's all. Thanks for listening. Sorry if I rambled a bit too much. Thank you.